the Yankees now lead by a score of 3-2.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mazeroski has hit a 1-0 pitch over the left field fence at Ford Field to win the 1960 World Series.
They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past.
The Pope arrived at Yankee Stadium. As one enthusiastic announcer put it, he is standing on second base.
Reggie Jackson. Long drive right field. It is. Goodbye. Big World Series for Reggie Jackson.
The Blue Jays are World Series champions as Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run.
Back and throw. There's a left back. It's going to be, I believe, the Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant.
The 0-1 pitch. A liner off Nagy's glove into center field. The Florida Marlins have won the World Series.
The memories will be so thick that I can brush them away from their faces.
The 1-0 delivery to Fisk. He swings, long drive, left field. If it stays fair, it's gone. Home run. The Red Sox win. And the series is... Lolich fires. Ball is hit high in the air. This should be the series. Freehand waving everybody away in foul territory. Detroit wins. Here's the pitch to Willie. There's a liner straight to Richardson. The ball game is over and the World Series is over. Willie McCovey hit it like a bullet. A line drive right
Baseball to mark the time.
The Oakland A's take.
I'll tell you what, we're having an
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Candlestick Park for Game 3 of the 1989 World Series.
And erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again.
Frank Robinson, the right-hand batter. Long drive to left field. Way back. Gets it back. One out.
Base hit loaded, one out. Pena in a chance. The Twins are going to win the World Series. The Twins have won it.
Ozzie with one out. Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run. And the Willie Mays just brought this crowd to its feet with a catch, which must have been an optical illusion to a lot of people.
This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again.
Broadcasted live.
Who wants to have some fun?
There are balls coming from all over the place. Left field, center field, right field. See, this is the kind of thing, quite honestly, right now, that makes you want to see the Chicago Cubs team lose.
Now, are you just saying you want to have fun, or do you really want to have fun?
It'll be fun.
Will the next person that sees anybody throw anything onto this field, point them out, or get them out of here? You don't live in Cleveland. You live in Cincinnati.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
That is the farthest thing in the universe from the truth.
Hello, everyone, live. It's the Dan Scott Show. And right there is your host, Dan Scott.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Monday edition of the program. I am Dan Scott. Good to have you with us as we get you set for the next hour. Doing the show today from the still as yet uncompleted home studio, but functional nonetheless, and the completion is going to come over the summer when I'm not traveling all over the place with baseball. That's the way it works. That's my story anyway, and I'm sticking to it. How are you? How's your weekend? Hope you had a blessed Easter. Hope you took the time to go to church. And I tell you what, Utica Baptist, man, we were packed to the absolute rafters. It was a great, great Sunday. then got to come home and spend some relaxing time with the family, which there's not been a whole lot of that lately, and that's what happens this time of year when baseball season hits and you try to cram 56 games into 90 days. So it was a great Sunday all around yesterday, and I hope that yours was the same. Coming up on the show today, we are going to look back at a bad weekend for Furman baseball and kind of dissect what's going on with this team right now and why there is still plenty of room for optimism moving forward. We'll do that. NCAA championship game is tonight, Villanova and Michigan. We're going to let you hear from both head coaches from their press conferences yesterday. And then also, of course, it was the opening weekend for Major League Baseball, and we'll have some thoughts on everything that transpired there. Masters is this weekend down in Augusta. Many people think that this is the best sporting time of the year, and it'd be hard to argue that. In any event, hope that, as I said, that your Easter went well. Before we even get to talking about the actual baseball games, I've got to talk about the broadcasts over the weekend. And you can no doubt my voice is still not over the weekend with the games, and not only with the voice, but also with energy. I wasn't with any of the three broadcasts that I did, and I just offer an apology because they were not the standard that I try to hold myself to. And regardless of whether I'm not feeling well, there's got to be more energy. There's got to be more connectedness to the broadcast as opposed to just sitting there and watching and reacting. And that's kind of what I felt like I was doing over this weekend. So for those of you who were tuning in this weekend and wondering what in the world's going on, it was just not a good weekend, and I apologize for that. So hopefully the broadcast will be better this week, and it's going to be a tough week for the Paladins, as we're going to detail coming up here in just a little bit, with a midweek game against Georgia State on Wednesday, and then heading to Macon, Georgia, to take on Mercer for 3 this weekend. So we're going to detail all of that, and as I said, we've got a full show today. Going to hear from both head coaches in the national championship game tonight, and then we'll see what else we can get into as well. As we get started, though, the show, as always, is brought to you by our friends at the Atlanta Bread Company. They're located just down the road from campus at Furman and Cherrydale Plaza. And look, Jeff Massey has been so incredibly good to me personally and to the show. I can't thank him enough for what he's done for us, and just encourage you when you go there to sample the fantastic food that they have. Take a moment to thank them for their sponsorship of this program, because they're the ones that helped us get this thing launched and helping us keep it sustained with their long-term commitment to it. So our never-ending thanks to the Atlanta Bread Company. And by the way, the food is fantastic, and the people are even better. Cherrydale Plaza, just down the road from campus. Stop by and see them there today. We'll take a break. We'll come back, and we'll get into what's going on with this Furman baseball team. I'll give you my thoughts on it. When we return, Paladins have lost 8 in a row, and there's some parallels to this time a year ago. We'll get into that when we come back. You're listening to and watching The Dan Scott Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Holding, number 79, defense, first down. I'm also holding a party tonight.
Great call by the official. There's flag on the field.
Holding a Pepsi. Necessary revenge.
Hey, Ted, bring some of that Pepsi to my party.
Pepsi and the NFL. Welcome.
The Atlanta Bread Company wants to make your dining experience as convenient as possible, especially if you're ordering takeout. Go online to AtlantaBreadCompany.com, place your order there, and pay for it too. Then, when you get to the restaurant at Cherrydale Point, you breeze right by the cash registers and go straight to the pickup counter where your food will be waiting. And speaking of food, try the new shrimp po' boy, a delicious and surprisingly healthy addition to the already great menu. That's the Atlanta Bread Company, Cherrydale Point in Greenville.
When the Furman baseball team goes on the road, it travels safely, comfortably, and with the latest technology with Gene's Tours and Charters. Gene's has been a Furman favorite for decades and has serviced Furman baseball for over 20 years. Take it from head coach Brett Harker. Book your next road trip with Gene's. Gene's Tours and Charters, online at genesbussvc.com or call 864-242-1673. Gene's Tours and Charters, servicing the upstate since 1980.
If you've been sidelined by an injury, the St. Francis Sports Medicine Team is here 24/7 to get you back on the field. Our highly trained network of physicians, athletic trainers, and physical therapists treat all types of sports-related injuries, even those that occur from playing a sport. Call the St. Francis Hurt Line at 675-HU-RT for priority appointments or at-home advice. Again, that's 675-HU-RT.
With you today, as we get back to play, let me take just a moment to talk to you about our friends at Security Complete. You know, I told you some time ago that I changed and made them my new security provider here at the Scott Family Ranch. I was not happy when the local company that I had, which I was very happy with, was bought out by a larger conglomeration. And it just caused all kinds of issues that I didn't want to deal with. So I went and found these local guys. They're based out of Liberty. They've got 40 years experience, the two main guys who are running the place. 40 years of experience combined in the industry, and they know what it takes to get the job done. And if you are inclined to do some investigating, let me toss this offer at you here. Check out what is popping up on your screen now. The basic wire-free system starts at $599, and when you pay that price, you get everything you see on the screen there, and you own the equipment. You're not leasing it. If you decide to stop the service, they're not going to come back and get it. It's not proprietary, which means that if you try the service and you don't like it, then they're going to lock the system out so you can't use it. If you decide to go to another security provider, you've already got the equipment and you're set to go from there. But I can promise you that that's not going to be the case. And here's where the financial aspect of this starts to add up. You're thinking, man, why would I want to spend that much money? Well, here's what happens. You go to a larger company and they're going to lock you in. They're going to, quote unquote, give you the equipment. What they're doing is leasing it to you. And then they're going to lock you into a contract, sometimes as long as 5 years for the service. Well, if you do the math and you look at the simple monthly rate for Security Complete, starting as low as $29.95 and peaking at $34.95, depending on the level of service that you're going to get, over the course of 5 years, you're going to save between $1,200 and $1,800, and you're going to own the equipment. It's something worth checking into. You do the math, you think about it, and it is a long-term savings that's going to save you a considerable amount of money. Security Complete, you see the phone number right there on your screen, 864-546-0360, and they are also on Facebook under Security Complete, and on Twitter, Security Complete minus the O. Just Security CMPLETE is the Twitter handle. Tell them you heard about them here on the show. All right, let's talk a little bit of Furman baseball. Now, the Powellans have lost 8 in a row after being swept by Samford this weekend. 2 close games and then the 10-0 loss on Saturday to close out the series, in which Matt Lazaro struggled, which he had not been doing. The freshman lefty had been outstanding in his last 3 starts. It's a Samford team coming in that does not hit the ball particularly well. Their offensive numbers are really kind of bad, quite honestly, as far as the team batting average is concerned. Defensively, they have struggled all season long from that standpoint, but the one thing they do is pitch, especially out of the bullpen, and the Paladins saw that again this weekend. They got all they wanted to see of Wyatt Burns twice out of the bullpen, and then the rest of the guys that they can run out of there as well. So where is this Furman team right now? And the natural instinct is to try to draw comparisons between what's happening now and what took place 1 year ago when that Furman team had a 9-game losing streak. And in the midst of that, or the 9 games actually came at the end of a stretch where they lost 17 out of 20. The difference here is that prior to this 8-game losing streak, this team had won 10 of its last 13 games and was playing very well, even though the offense hadn't really come along, even though there were some other things going on in the pitching staff. They were still finding ways to win games. So that's one major difference. The 9-game losing streak a year ago was the culmination of that 20-game stretch in which they lost 17 out of 20. Here, it's you're heading very much in this direction, and then without warning, the bottom falls out. There's no gradual decline. So from that standpoint, it's different. The similarities I see are specifically on the offensive end of things right now, where this team just simply cannot get out of its own way when it comes to scoring runs, or more to the point, a lack of scoring runs. They have now gone 79, 80 innings, I think, without a home run, which is just with the cast of characters coming back from the team a year ago that hit 69 home runs in 62 games, to be sitting here with just 16 home runs through the first 28 games and haven't hit one since Ben Anderson led off the bottom of the first inning in the finale against Harvard. That was before the losing streak started. That was the last game in that stretch where they won 10 out of 13. That's the last home run this team has hit. So that is one thing. There's been a tremendous power outage. But the other aspect of that, okay, if you're not driving the ball out of the ballpark, especially at our park where it's 350 feet to left center field, then you've got to do other things to manufacture runs. You've got to get key hits. You've got to get timely hits. And it's really a statistical anomaly because you look at this team's batting average with runners in scoring position, and it's hitting somewhere north of 320 as a team. But a lot of those numbers were piled up in that 10 out of 13 stretch of games won. And of late, they have not been able to get the big hit, and specifically haven't been able to get the big 2-out hit with runners in scoring position. So, it's one of those deals we kind of talked about with Caleb Davis on the Saturday pregame show. He filled in for Brett Harker, who was under the weather. You're in one of those stretches now where if the team is pitching well, it's not hitting, or maybe it's pitching and fielding and not hitting, or maybe the hitting's coming along and you're not pitching it or you're not catching it. They've yet to get all three phases of the game going at the same time. And the irony of this weekend is that this is the first time that they've had basically a full bullpen all season long, where they've had every piece they expected to have when the season began. With the possible exception of Jonathan Mao, and he's beginning to work his way back. He was going to throw a bullpen session, I think, today for the first time throwing off the mound since very early in the season. So if his shoulder responds and he comes back, then they've got every single piece that they expected to have. Hunter Baker finally made his debut over the weekend. Of course, Heath Hawkins is back. And you've got the kids who have pitched extremely well, John Michael Bertrand and Jordan Beatson. And then, again, we saw on Sunday a guy who's kind of making a move to get himself more innings out of this bullpen, Austin Wood, who came in after was it Baker had loaded the bases? I think somebody had loaded the bases. Anyway, Wood walked the first batter he faced to force in a run, but then pitched, I think it was 2 1/3 scoreless innings of shutout baseball after that, which is 3 really good appearances in a row that he has had. So the irony of the weekend was you came in thinking, man, the bullpen's in great shape, and yet you got out bullpenned in 2 of the first 3 games by maybe the one team in the league that can really do that from a depth standpoint. So it was an intriguing weekend. The challenge now is you got to end this skid. You cannot let this thing linger, because I'm telling you, you're going to face a Georgia State team. You lost 2 down there last year, and then you're going into Mercer, and Mercer again is picked right at the top of this league. And the one thing you don't want to do is get yourself in a situation you were in a year ago where you started off 1-8 in conference play, fought all the way back, finished 14-10 when you had that fantastic finish to the season, but you can't rely on that again. Hopefully they're going to turn it on. Hopefully they're going to find the groove. Hopefully everything's going to start coming along. But until then, man, you got to start scratching. You got to start clawing. It sounds cliche, but it's true. Every single hitter, you cannot give away at bats. And one of the things, and I know it's an easy game sitting back watching it, but playing it and coaching it for years and years and years prior to getting into broadcasting, one of the things that I can't stand anyway is somebody taking a called third strike. There are occasions you get fooled by a pitch. But I can't tell you how many times, and we see it year after year after year, and not just with Furman, but how many times do players leave their 2-strike fate in the hands of an umpire? If one of the basic tenements you were taught in this game from Little League up, or should have been taught from Little League up, and maybe that's the problem. Years ago you were taught that with 2 strikes, if it's close, you got to protect the plate. You got to swing the bat. And the number of pitches that college baseball players take, 2 strikes that are close, and they're putting their fate in the hands of an umpire, just absolutely baffles me, drives me crazy. So one of the things that has to start happening is grinding, not giving away at bats, not putting that fate in the hands of an umpire. If it's close, you got to swing the bat, foul it off, and get another pitch. Start frustrating the pitcher by making him throw more pitches in an at-bat and not giving him easy outs. And look, you can say what you want to about the umpire. You can say what you want to about the inconsistency of the strike zone from game to game, and there are valid arguments there. But the bottom line is, when you've got 2 strikes on you, your mentality as a hitter has to change. And you've got to go into battle mode. You've got to protect the plate. Look, if Joey Votto chokes up on the bat, and I'm not a Barry Bonds fan, but if Barry Bonds choked up on the bat to have better bat control, I think a college baseball player can choke up on the bat or do other things to have better bat control and to do things with 2 strikes to make it more difficult for the pitcher to strike you out, rather than guessing at a borderline pitch and hoping that the umpire doesn't call it strike 3. Taking a called third strike just has always bothered me. And I'm starting to get myself a little riled up here, so we'll move on. But that's one of the things. They've got to start battling. Got to start not giving away at bats. And once that mentality starts to set in, then you'll start to see good things happen. I believe this team is going to break out. I really do. It is too good offensively to continue in this kind of offensive slump. It just is. It's too good offensively. But baseball is a contagious game. Hitting is contagious. Not hitting is contagious. And right now you got a whole bunch of not hitting, especially not hitting for power, running through this team, and I'm really looking for these guys to start grinding it out, to start battling, to quit giving away at bats, and start just challenging pitchers to be better than them instead of allowing them or putting their fate, as I said, in the hands of an umpire where maybe he's going to give you the benefit of the doubt on a borderline pitch. 2 strikes, you got to go into battle mode, plain and simple. The midweek game this week is Wednesday. It's a 5 o'clock start, which is an odd start time for us. That'll be obviously at Latham Stadium against Georgia State. The pregame time, 4:45 p.m. on all of our normal outlets. That will include our flagship station, Fox Sports 1440. So we're looking forward to having them there. And here, the more I talk, the less voice that I have. Hopefully it's going to be better come Wednesday. We'll find out if it is or not. We'll still try to have a little more energy than we had over the weekend. All right, I got to get to a break. When we come back, we're going to switch gears completely. Let you hear from both head coaches of the 2 teams playing for the national championship tonight, Villanova and head coach Jay Wright, and Michigan and head coach John Beeline. We'll do that on the other side as the Dan Scott Show continues in just a moment.
Hey, Furman fans, it's baseball season. Here at Eagles, we know that as you root for the home team, sometimes you want more than just peanuts and Cracker Jack. And while we do deliver on your favorite ballpark classics, we're proud to offer a packed lineup of everything you need to make your next meal a home run. Eagles, a proud sponsor of Furman Baseball and the official grocery store of Furman Athletics. Go Dins!
Life's healthier when you're backed by a Greenville Health System primary care doctor. Because then, the doctor that has your back is backed by the more than 1,000 physicians and specialists at the region's leading health system, all working together to bring you the right care in the right place at the right time. Great health starts with a GHS primary care doctor, and there are more than 200 of them conveniently located throughout the upstate, ready to see you. Find yours today at ghs.org/mydoctor.
Zaxby's food has always brought people together. Catering to the big moments, the little wins, the long talks, and the quick getaways. Because food this inviting is bound to add a lot of flavor to your life.
Introducing the Zax Pack. Served with chicken fingers, sides, Texas toast, and iced tea. Pick one up for dinner or your next event. Friends, family, flavor. Zaxby's. Indescribably good.
I was surprised recently when I learned that Americans spend $80 billion a year on illegal sports gambling. Sure, that's spread out over millions of gamblers, but you wonder where that money's coming from. Unfortunately, too often it's coming from money that was intended to buy groceries, pay the mortgage, or even put children through college. If gambling's had a negative impact on your life, call the SC Gambling Hotline toll-free at 877-452-5155. Help is confidential and available 24 hours a day. A message from the South Carolina Department of Alcohol and Other Drug Abuse Services.
Let me tell you something, Cowboy. This rookie can really bring the heat.
He's smoky and spicy with a Chipotle style all his own.
It's the new Montgomery and Chipotle barbecue sauce. Make it a part of your home team.
Available now at your neighborhood grocer or online at CincyFavorites.com.
Scott with you here on this Monday edition from the home studio. Hope that everything's going well for you so far. Man, it's a gorgeous day outside. I was outside earlier this morning, and I think we're headed to temperatures in the upper 70s. And after some of the weather we've had, this is a brilliant start to the month of April, without question. A word about our friends at Hall's Chop House. They are located in downtown Greenville. On Main Street, and what did I tell you about them? Well, I'll tell you that they have Allen Brothers Prime Steaks at the top of the menu, which means that everything else falls into place from there. The food is fantastic. Billy and his staff have the unique ability to make you feel like you're the only person or the most important person there, and there might be 350 people in the building or whatever the fire marshal allows them to hold there. And then they're open 7 nights a week for dinner. They are open for brunch on Sundays. And now he said, they're open for lunch on Friday and Saturday. So you can have the Halls experience from a lunchtime standpoint on Fridays and Saturdays. What a way to kick off your weekend. They are great supporters of the program, love Furman University, and we're very excited to have them with us. Hall's Chop House, the Greenville Steakhouse. Please, as always, tell them you heard about them here on the show. All right, we pulled this off of YouTube, so I don't know if the ad is going to play or not. We'll kind of play it by ear as we go along, but we'll start with part of the press conference yesterday from Jay Wright, the Villanova head coach, as they are preparing to face Michigan in the championship game coming up tonight on TBS, of all places. So give this thing a chance to get rolling here, and we'll hear from Jay Wright, and then in a minute we'll hear from John Beilein. I think we're going to hear from Jay Wright. We had Jay Wright a little earlier. Did they shoot the absolute lights out against Kansas? I think it was a Final Four national semifinal game record, 18 three-pointers made. And yeah, we're going to get an ad, so I'll just kind of sit here and try to talk over the ad a little bit if I can.
Yesterday
night
was filled with
have to hear the ad instead of me. So let's just do that. Let you hear the ad from Indeed.com.
You smiled at me
and then you'll hear from Jay Wright.
You gave to me your all in all, and now I feel 10 feet tall. Sunny one so true, I love you.
Welcome back. Yeah, exactly. He's the alternative.
Exactly.
We're joined now by Villanova head coach Jay Wright. We'll ask Coach to make an opening statement, then we'll get to everybody's questions over the next 30 minutes.
We are thrilled to be here, obviously. Every time you come up here, you just kind of pinch yourself like, we're still here. This is really cool. And now having a chance to play Michigan, Big Ten champions, in the championship game is a thrill. They're a great team. Just like they remind me of John's West Virginia teams. Wagner kind of reminds me of modern day Pittsnoggle, thinned down, eating healthier, little more skilled, but just a really well coached, disciplined team that you just expect at this time of the year. That's what you're going to play against, but also from John's team. So we're looking forward to a great challenge.
We'll start in the front on the right, Mike.
I like that everybody laughed at Pittsnoggle. That means we're good, big, old Big East fans here. I like that.
Mike Jensen, Philadelphia Inquirer. Jay, how far back, what's your earliest memory of Beilein? Did it predate that?
Yeah. I was my first coaching job was University of Rochester under Mike Neer in 1984, and John was the head coach at Lemoyne College, which is a Division II school in Syracuse. So he was in Syracuse, I was in Rochester. Division III assistant coach is about as low as you can be in the college basketball business. So John was Division II head coach, and just like he is now, just nicest guy in the world. You know, I was a first-year coach. He was always really friendly. But the recruiting back then was in upstate New York. We would recruit guys all year, and then John would wait till the end of the year because he had the scholarship. We didn't. And if you'd be on a guy and just hope you wouldn't see John in the gym. And like in April, he'd pop in and he'd see you, and you'd say, "Are you going to take him, John?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm sorry, but we're going to take him." And you just, because he was the only Division II team that had a scholarship. Division III guys, they were going to have to pay. But he's always the nicest guy, and you know, as a young assistant, he's always nice to me. He was young too, but just, you know, the greatest guy. And then we came into the Big East together. You know, me at Villanova, him at West Virginia. So our wives played tennis together at the Big East. I got a good one. When the Big East broke up and they left, Patty said, "Oh my God, I'm gonna lose my tennis partner. Kathy's leaving." I said, "Hon, we're losing a great coach and a great team. It's a little bigger than that. This is a little scary." But just everything you see in John is what you get. Greatest guy in the world, man. Great coach.
Right side of the room in the front, Aaron.
Aaron Beard with the AP. Jay, there's not many players that can affect the game like McHale can as far as not needing 25 shots to make an impact or playing defensively the way he does. What is the best quality that you like about coaching him as far as what he brings to a game, and maybe the biggest thing he's improved on in his leap from last year to this year?
I think you hit on the most important aspect he brings to our team is that in a game like the Kansas game, even when everyone else has got it going offensively, and he's a star and a pro prospect, he is proud of the fact that whether Graham got it going, or Newman got it going, we were switching him on to those guys. We put him on the best player, and he's fine with that. He actually enjoys that, And I think the area he's improved on the most is his ability to create his own shot off the dribble. He could always catch and shoot, moved well without the ball, use screens. But now you can put him in isolation, and he can use his dribble to create his own shots.
We're going to go to the center of the room, Dana, or Pat.
Dana O'Neill with The Athletic. Along with McHale, every guy on this roster at some level has had to sit and wait, either by choice or by necessity, with injuries. Jalen behind Ryan. How does that cultivate without issue for you? I mean, because a lot of times that would be instant transfers and an instant mess.
I hope the honesty that we use in recruiting is what enables us to do that without controversy. It's not perfect all the time, but we're honest with guys when they come in. They know the upperclassmen in our program are respected. They know that they're going to have to earn their playing time, and the guys that choose Villanova usually want that. They want the competitiveness to prove themselves. They want to be a part of something bigger than themselves.
We're going to go up front, Adam.
Hey, Jay. How are
Hey,
you?
AZ.
Adam Zagori. Has your style of coaching or play this year at all been influenced by the NBA, the Warriors, the Rockets, with all the three-pointers? There's been a lot of talk about that. And do you think Ash Howard is ready to be a head coach? He's been linked to some jobs.
I'll start with Ashley. I think Ashley's definitely ready. He's bright. He's a basketball lifer. He's an outstanding recruiter. He's a very good X and O guy. Great teacher on the court, and a really good man. The kind of person you'd like to have lead your program and be a representative of your university. And then the NBA influences all of us in college. We all watch the best players, the best coaches, and see what we can learn. And the Golden State Warriors have been using this style for a while now. Mike D'Antoni, before he went to the, even when he's with the Suns, we all watched it. As a matter of fact, Jalen's favorite player is Steve Nash. So we've talked about that. So they have a great influence on us, all of us, but specifically Villanova.
On the left side, Joe.
Joe Giuliano, Philadelphia Inquirer. Jay, your second Final Four in 3 years, the magnitude of it, all the media and other demands. Over the last two Final Fours, how has your comfort level improved? The fact, the magnitude of handling everything, and then coaching your guys to be as successful as they were 2 years ago and thus far this year.
Yeah, are you asking am I comfortable with handling all this stuff, all this media and all this? I hope you're not setting me up here, Joe, because I got to deal with you all the time. Are you telling me I'm not doing as good a job anymore? Is that what you're saying? I don't, there's so much attention, the last few years that the challenge is to not miss out on the time with my family and my players. That it just becomes a challenge. I'm not complaining about it. It's a great spot to be in, but there's so many more demands on your time. You got to make sure it's your job, so you have to do it. And if that's the toughest part of your job, it's pretty good. This is fun, but it's not good if it takes away from your family or your time with your players, because that's really your job, is your time with your team and your coaches. And that is a challenge. It's something that I struggle with. I try to do a good job. That's why I'm sensitive about that question. I don't know if you tell me I'm doing a bad job either side, but it's a difficult challenge.
The comfort, too, in coaching your players and making sure they're all ready. And
all right, that was a bit of Jay Wright, the Villanova head coach from yesterday, as they are doing their preparation for Michigan. Let's get a little bit of the other side of it and hear what Michigan head coach John Beilein had to say in his press conference. These press conferences, by the way, are 30 minutes long. I'm only giving you 7-8 minutes of each one of them. But again, we're going to get an ad, this time from State Farm. Maybe our buddy Ed Patterson will be paying attention.
Aren't you going to stop them from skipping?
I'm at peace. All ads are born to be skipped. The universe works in mysterious ways.
Well, they haven't skipped yet, but they're about to.
Morning, Coach. Good, how are you? You get any rest, Coach? Very little. I didn't sleep very well. Good afternoon, everyone. Coach Beilein has now joined us. We'll ask Coach just to give his initial thoughts, and then we'll start with some questions.
Well, I got back, obviously, with all the media responsibilities after the game. I didn't get to see the first half of Villanova. I'm sort of glad I didn't get to see it. The second half, I did get back to my hotel room in time to watch it. It was an offensive clinic against a very good defensive team, and we're just pleased to be in this forum right now, where we're still playing on the last day, and today will be. There's very few times that a coach gets to say to his team, "This is our last practice of the year," and we get to say that today. This is the last time you have to focus in practice, and I just really feel blessed to be in this situation, and but also know there's a tremendous challenge ahead of us with Loyola, with what we have with Loyola and now Villanova. The reason I made that mistake there is because Villanova is just another form of Loyola, and probably a little taller, a few shot blockers inside, and just probably better in some respects and maybe not in some others, but just really a great example of how the game should be played, just like Loyola was. So we got our challenges, and we're going to do everything we can to meet that challenge.
Coach, let's start up front in the center. Let's take the microphone.
Brad Galley from WXYZ in Detroit. I'm curious what your relationship with Jay Wright was like when you coached against him in the Big East, and then if this NCAA tournament were a movie, what actor would portray Jay and what actor would portray you?
Oh, that's an easy question. I would say that if he broke in, he was brought into Villanova, had a couple tough seasons, and he came in to bring Villanova back. We followed at West Virginia 1 year later. So I think we were both in the bottom of just the first couple of times we played. There were great games that we were both just trying to win a game. The NCAA tournament was a dream at that point for both of us. And I made one move after that, but we've known each other for a long time. Patty and Kathleen are friends. We have a great relationship. And at the end of tomorrow's to answer that question, at the end of the game tomorrow, he'll still look like George Clooney, and I will look like Columbo by Peter Falk at the end of that thing. So there's your comparison. I'd like to say Kevin Costner, but I can't go there.
Coach, let's go to the third row in the center.
Coach Ed Graney, Las Vegas Review-Journal. Jay, after the game last night, said he never thought about one, never mind 2 and 3 years. He never allowed himself to think about that. How often do you think you've thought about it, of the clock going 0 and you being the one that's won that game?
So he never thought about being the champion. Is that what you're referring to? No, I never think about that either. You just think about the next game. That's all we think about. The two things I get most common would be, are you enjoying this? I'm not enjoying this. I'm working. I mean, I love working, but it's not like I'm sitting around laughing all day long and saying, "Isn't this great?" I got a great view of the concert, and a great sound for the concerts right outside me. And I'm looking. I said, "Boy, those guys are all having fun," but we have work to do. The other one would be with what would this mean? It would just mean that we did our best, and we ended up, having more breaks than other teams, and it would be great for all our fans and university.
In that same row, just to the left, Aaron.
Coach Aaron Beard with the AP. I know you're focused on a lot of weapons that they have, but I wanted to ask you specifically about Bridges. What concerns you most about a guy like that? Both he can score within the flow of what they do without needing the ball, but he can also really affect the game defensively.
Yeah, he is he does so many things well, and and I'm like Jay's probably the same way. He didn't spent the whole year watching Michigan play, but my assistants have been on it all week, and now I'm really getting my first glimpses of him. I don't watch other basketball games unless we're not involved in them. That's the truth. And so I'm just watching all the things he brings to the table from what was 6 a.m. this morning until we just came over here, and he's a complete player. And they got a lot of those guys, and that's why they're playing tomorrow night, and that's why they have 35 wins or something like that, 35-4 I think they are. That's why they have all those wins.
We have two in the row behind, Jeff first and then Nicole.
John, you guys have done as good a job as anyone winning with under-the-radar recruits and developing them. Are there certain qualities that you look for in those types of players when you're recruiting them? And then is there a process with John Sanderson that you go through in terms of identifying which ones you can develop?
Yeah, I think that too many times people that do recruiting ratings do not look at, well, what is the development like at this school they're going to go to, and what is their strength and their quickness and strength training, the overall development, their athletic training, all these things that we study so much at Michigan. And they're trying. It's such an inexact science, and I don't think you can ever do the numbers of, the 3 stars and the 2 stars that turn out to be 5 stars in 4 years, and the 5 stars that turn out to be 3 stars in 4 years. And it happens like every day. And as a result, we've had great fortune with highly rated players, and then we also have the Karis LeVerts and Nick Stauskas and even the Spike Albrechts, who probably never thought he'd play pro, but he had a heck of a college career. So you're not we always say, and I think it was Rudy Tomjanovich said this, where you're not amassing talent when you build a team. You're building a team. You're not amassing talent. And we just try to build a team. And but John Sanderson, everything, development is a understood approach to when you're recruiting. You think all these, you get a freshman and all of a sudden it's going to turn the program around. Not if he's not going to develop. He's not going to turn any program around. And I think that's what Villanova is specialized in right now. I couldn't believe how many guys have redshirted for a bunch of reasons, I'm sure. That makes them a much older team. And that's really an advantage today in college basketball.
Now to Nicole.
Nicole Auerbach, The Athletic. John, how, if at all, do you think you would look at your career if you have a national championship in it, or you don't?
I honestly say I wouldn't look at it any differently. I really would not. Others may, but I don't think Kathleen and I would look at it any different. This is what we've done. This is like approaching some 1,200. I haven't done the math, like 1,200 games as a head coach, and it's just like you hang in there. And you just do your absolute best every single day. And someday you're going to say, hey, I gave it everything I had. And that's, if I'm falling into my grave, that's okay too, right? But you just do everything you can to be the best coach, the best mentor, the best teacher, the best husband, the grandfather, father every day. And then you go do it again. And that's all I want to be.
In the row behind, we'll start on the left, Ben.
Ben Balch, Los Angeles Times. What would you say has been Luke's biggest imprint on your defense, and what's your confidence level in his thoughts on stopping and his plan for stopping the three-point barrage that Villanova has?
He has a tremendous influence on our defense right now, and when we did this a few years ago, and I just want somebody that just thinks and breathes defense. Let me take care of offense and defense, but we need somebody only concentrating on this, where it would be so he actually doesn't have every scout, but Sadi's got this scout, but he is, watches that film. But you know what he's doing right now? He's cutting our defense from yesterday that would look like what Villanova's running, so that we could watch ourselves guarding similar action. And there are some similarities. So he's got a great influence, just a great influence, and a very strong presence in practice. And the second part was, there was a second part?
All right, so there's a bit of John Beeline from his press conference yesterday. You know, it goes without saying how much I really like that guy. I loved when he was at West Virginia, hated to see him go when Michigan came calling, but you knew eventually it was going to happen. But he has taken now two different teams, the Mountaineers and the Wolverines, to the Final Four. Villanova is going to be a heavy favorite tonight, I believe. I'm going to be rooting for Michigan, largely because I like John Beeline. And you know what? 2 seasons ago, Furman basketball went to Michigan and came within that much of knocking off the Wolverines that, you know, a year later now are playing for the national championship. So there's a little bit of commonality there that kind of goes into it a little bit. But really excited. I think it's going to be a great game tonight, and looking forward to it, and we'll have all kinds of reaction from it tomorrow as well. As we get set to take a break, just a reminder about our friends at Ridge Media. They are the ones who are putting together the new DanScottShow.com website, which will be up in probably the next month and a half if all goes well, and really looking forward to that and what it's going to bring to the show and to our advertisers and everything else. They are a one-stop shop when it comes to that kind of thing. They have Fortune 500 companies and startups who are their clients. They are based in Greenville, also have an office in Charleston. Kenny and the gang do a fantastic job there, and you're going to love, I think, what you're going to see from the website when it comes up here in the next month and a half. It's the folks at Ridge Media, LLC, based in Greenville, and let's see how this website turns out. I think you're going to like it when it goes live. All right, to break we go. We'll come back and have a few final thoughts here on this edition of the show. Don't go away. The Atlanta Bread Company wants to make your dining experience as convenient as possible, especially if you're ordering takeout. Go online to atlantabreadcompany.com, place your order there, and pay for it too. Then, when you get to the restaurant at Cherry Dell Point, you breeze right by the cash registers and go straight to the pickup counter where your food will be waiting. And speaking of food, try the new Shrimp Po' Boy, a delicious and surprisingly healthy addition to the already great menu. That's the Atlanta Bread Company, Cherry Dell Point in Greenville.
Let me tell you something, Cowboy. This rookie can really bring the heat.
He's smoky and spicy with a Chipotle style all his own.
It's a new Montgomery Inn Chipotle barbecue sauce. Make it a part of your home team.
Available now at your neighborhood grocer or online at CincyFavorites.com.
When the Furman baseball team goes on the road, it travels safely, comfortably, and with the latest technology with Jeans Tours and Charters. Jeans has been a Furman favorite for decades and has serviced Furman baseball for over 20 years. Take it from head coach Brett Harker. Book your next road trip with Jeans. Jeans Tours and Charters online at jeansbussvc.com or call 864-242-1673. Jeans Tours and Charters, servicing the upstate since 1980.
If you've been sidelined by an injury, the St. Francis Sports Medicine team is here 24/7 to get you back on the field. Our highly trained network of physicians, athletic trainers, and physical therapists treat all types of sports-related injuries, even those that don't occur from playing a sport. Call the St. Francis Hurt Line at 675-HU-RT for priority appointments or at-home advice. Again, that's 675-HU-RT.
Edition of the Dan Scott Show. I am Dan. Hope that your day is going well so far. And boy, I'm trying to catch. One thing I do not like about the CBS Sports website is the automatic start on all the stupid videos that they have, and I was trying to catch this one before it starts because there's a story I want to get to here in just a moment as we get set to close out the program. But first of all, what are we doing now? We're just gonna jump right into it. Okay, that's what we're doing now. I did have some thoughts about Major League Baseball's opening weekend and a lot of pomp and circumstance, a lot of cold weather, which you're going to get this time of year. And I got a really good explanation yesterday as to why the season started early this year. I mean, we started on March the 29th, that Thursday of last week. And, that's about a week ahead of time. Well, the reason, and this was done in the collective bargaining agreement the last time that the two sides put a new agreement together 2 years ago, the season starting earlier because they wanted more off days built into the schedule and wanted more day games, especially on getaway day. And so that's why, by and large, the schedule has been backed up to the point that it was this year, that the season started on March the 29th. So that apparently is going to be a thing moving forward. More off days for teams and more day games, getaway days, especially when you've got to get out of town and head across the country or whatever the case may be, not having to take so many red eyes flying overnight. But the other thing that there's so many things I could talk about, but one thing that kind of jumped out to me, and this is the beauty of the game of baseball. The Dodgers and Giants, longtime rivals going back to their days in New York before they both moved west after the 1957 season. So, these are two franchises that are going to be eternally linked, and whenever they play, there's always that little edge to it. And so they open with one another this weekend, and the Giants win the first two games of the year by scores of 1-0, both on home runs by Joe Panik. And the home runs he hit on the opener off of Clayton Kershaw, and in the second game off of the closer Kenley Jansen. That is a phenomenal way to start your season if you're Joe Panik, and to have 2 1-0 games, 2 well-pitched games like that, and to hit home runs off of those two guys specifically, that was pretty hardcore stuff, and that was just one of the many things that kind of jumped out from this weekend. This story that I wanted to get to, though, since we have the Final Four wrapping up. Notre Dame won the women's title last night, and now you've got Michigan and Villanova tonight. The good folks at the NCAA posted a video from Mark Emmert explaining why paying football and basketball players on the men's side particularly would actually lead to athletic departments eliminating other sports. And here's what he said, quote, "I think the other issue is that if you're going to move into a model where you were just paying football and basketball athletes, at least that's the argument that always comes forward, the way athletic departments are going to do that is they're going to eliminate other sports. There's really no other way for them to do it. Yeah, if you just looked at the revenue from football, you might be able to figure out how to pay football players, but you would eliminate all the other sports that are out there in order to do that and take away opportunities from men and women." Now, this amateurism model obviously is something that is going to be an ongoing debate, has been, and is going to continue to be a debate because of the insane amount of money that the schools are making. Television contracts are providing to conferences, which are passed along to the schools, and then that the NCAA itself is making. This basketball tournament alone generates hundreds of billions of dollars of revenue for the NCAA, and so the argument is, and has been for years, the players that are putting the product out there that's being televised, that's generating all this money, are not really getting everything they should be getting. And then the other side of the argument is, well, they're getting a free education, and the two sides go like this, back and forth, back and forth. And the the bottom line is, I don't know that we're ever going to get an answer. But that video, if you want to watch it, we don't have time, but if you want to watch it, and then maybe we can discuss it later in the week, it is out there. You can see it on CBSSports.com. You can see it at NCAA.com. But they have put this thing out to coincide with the Final Four, oddly enough. So go out and take a look at it, and we will talk about it maybe later this week and see what you think. It is a debate that is not going to go away anytime soon, simply because of the sheer amount of revenue that big-time college athletics continues to bring in. How you deal with that, well, that is the billion-dollar question. Thank you for tuning in. We look forward to being back with you tomorrow. We'll be back in studio tomorrow, if all goes according to plan, good Lord willing, and be hyper-focusing more on some of the things going on campus, as well as in the world of Major League Baseball. The Masters, we'll try to get it all to you in the course of the hour each day of the week. But until then, for now, I'm Dan Scott saying God bless you, and so long, everybody. I'll talk to you tomorrow back in studio.